I've been sick for upwards of a week now, but the thing that has made me finally say it's time to actually make a video again is the fact that Canadian nationalism is a beautiful thing. If you're a regular viewer of mine, you might remember not too long ago I did a video about how Trump had broken Canadian conservatism and how there were certain leaders in Canadian politics, conservative leaders, that were using him as a punching bag basically for their entire campaigns. The main example there being Doug Ford in Ontario. And I will touch on that again, but I think the most fascinating thing that we have seen in Canada, politically speaking, is how Trump has managed to make it so that the Liberal Party of Canada is coming back in a way that most people didn't think was electorally possible 3 weeks ago. Now, when I say that the federal Liberal Party is coming back in Canada, I mean they're coming back from the brink of political extinction. And it is looking like they are in a position to probably form a very healthy opposition as opposed to literally being wiped off the map in this year's Canadian federal election. You can see how extreme the situation I'm talking about is in this graph here. I mean, of average polling numbers for parties in Canada. You can see that the Liberal Party went from in the high teens up into the 30s over the course of a couple weeks. The Conservative Party had a lead of 27 points in the polling aggregate just a couple weeks ago, and now that lead is down to 8 points. So what caused an almost 20-point swing in federal polling? Well, it all comes down to two major factors, and that is the two men who are really going to be at the heart of Canada's election this year, and that is Donald Trump and Mark Carney. Now, of course, I don't really need to go into Trump's role in all of this. I mean, you probably are aware of the things that he has been saying, tariffs threatening to destroy the Canadian economy, talking about literal annexation of Canada. The man is essentially a perfect example of everything that Canadians do not like about the United States. So when you have an individual saying that he literally wants to rip Canada's sovereignty away and make it part of the United States, you might understand why that will scare some people away from the Conservative Party in Canada and make them want to vote for the option that is the most oppositional to that fucking nutcase down south. And I know that is the case because even the Conservatives in their campaign ads are attacking whoever the next leader of the Liberal Party is going to be, saying that they will not have the skills necessary to deal with and fight Trump. Trump is such an effective punching bag in Canadian politics that even the Conservatives are taking swings at him in this campaign. So that is the Trump side of the equation. But moving over to Mark Carney. Now, if you don't know, Mark Carney is the presumptive next leader of the Liberal Party after Justin Trudeau. Trudeau officially has stepped down, but is in like a sort of caretaker capacity at the moment, while his party elects another leader, and that is probably going to be Mark Carney. Now, Mark Carney is pretty interesting. He's coming into a political environment that in Canada is very anti-liberal. Justin Trudeau, incredibly unpopular amongst Canadians at the moment. The Liberal Party itself, very unpopular. It's been in power for almost a decade now. Many scandals, allegations of corruptions. It's not a party that's in a great place to win. But by positioning himself as an outsider, Carney seems to be the best possible bet for the Liberal Party in this situation. Mark Carney is coming into the situation very much as an outsider, and that is working immensely to his advantage. He literally is not a member of parliament at the moment, and his campaign, it seems to be, is this idea of a no-nonsense guy who's coming into the Liberal Party to fix up the mess that it has found itself in over the last couple of years. And Carney actually has quite a reputation behind him when he's making that argument. He was the governor of the Bank of Canada during the 2008 financial crisis, and he was celebrated around the world for taking very important and very smart steps to get the Canadian economy back on its feet after the GFC, and he did so under a Canadian Conservative government. He then also added to his resume over in the United Kingdom by becoming the governor of the Bank of England in 2010. So Carney has some credibility, not being a traditional liberal, someone who's worked with conservatives, with conservative governments in the past, And he was previously an advisor for Trudeau, but he's using that to his advantage now, saying that a lot of the economic advice that he gave, Trudeau and the Liberal Party just didn't listen. So what you have is somebody with a lot of economic credibility, somebody who's seen as a sensible pair of hands who can handle the Canadian economy, somebody who is an outsider who is not associated with the absolute mess of what the Liberal Party has been doing for the last couple of years, and somebody who is using all of this to his advantage to be an outsider to come in and fix the system. And it seems that that is working. So this has led to the environment where the Liberals are potentially not going to be completely wiped off the map. And I'm pretty astounded because, look, first thing I'm going to say, the Liberals are still not the favourites to win this election. The Conservatives are absolutely the frontrunners at the moment, but momentum has shifted in a way that we have never really seen in Canadian politics, at least never this quickly. Trump gave new life to the Liberal Party when he decided that Canada was going to be what he attacked as soon as he came into office. Something that made Canadians desperately want to fight back and support parties that they see as being as different and far from Trump as they could possibly imagine. Coupled with the fact that probably the most perfect outsider possible has come into the Liberal Party and is staking his claim to be the next leader, you have basically created a perfect storm, which most people would have considered impossible a month ago, to drag the Liberals back into this race. So Canada is definitely a place that you should keep your eye on when it comes to politics and how insane their election this year might be, with the potential of the Canadian political comeback probably of the century. And I think it all comes back to this one thing, which is that if you kick Canadians in the teeth, if you burn bridges and hurt your allies, it's probably worth remembering Canadians, well, they do know how to fight.